the red thread of light. For every girl who was told to hide, and chose instead to rise. In the village of Kattupalli, where the air grew thick with the scent of jasmine and the rustle of sugarcane whispered secrets to the wind, Dussehra arrived with its customary grandeur, temple bells ringing in rhythmic defiance of darkness, marigold garlands draped over doorways like golden blessings, and the echo of conch shells announcing the victory of light over shadow. Yet for 13-year-old Anjali, the festival felt like a distant echo, a celebration she could observe but not touch. Just days before the festival, Anjali had experienced her first menstruation, a moment she had awaited with quiet anticipation, having heard her cousins speak of it as a rite of passage, a doorway into womanhood. But instead of being welcomed into this new chapter with warmth and reverence, she was met with silence, shame, and a sudden exile to the backyard shed, where she was told to remain until the impurity had passed. "You must not touch the Rangoli powders," her aunt had said, her voice low and firm as she handed Anjali a frayed cloth and a plate of plain rice. "You must not enter the puja room, nor light the lamps. This is tradition. Don't question it." Anjali, who had spent the previous year learning to draw intricate columns with her grandmother, who had once recited verses from the Ramayana with the confidence of a priestess, now sat alone beneath the neem tree, her yellow pavadai folded beside her, her fingers aching to create, her heart aching to belong. That evening, as the village prepared for the symbolic burning of Ravana's effigy, her grandmother, Amama, whose silver hair carried the weight of many rebellions, came to her quietly, carrying a brass lamp and a small pouch of turmeric, vermilion, and crushed hibiscus petals. Without speaking, she placed the lamp beside Anjali and sat down, her eyes reflecting the flicker of flame. "Do you know why we burn Ravana?" Amama asked, her voice soft but steady. "To destroy evil," Anjali replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," Amama said, "but not just the kind that lives in stories. We burn the Ravana within, and the fear, the shame, the silence we are taught to carry. And sometimes, the most powerful fire begins with a single lamp." Anjali looked at her grandmother, unsure whether to believe, unsure whether she was allowed to hope. Amama's eyes sparkled with memory. "When I was your age, I was told the same. But I lit a lamp anyway. I placed it on the doorstep of the temple, even though they said I couldn't enter. That lamp burned all night." Anjali's fingers curled around the steel plate. "Did they punish you?" "They tried," Amama smiled. "But the priest's daughter saw it. She lit one too. Then another girl. Then another. The next year, the temple opened its doors to all." Anjali's breath caught like a flame in wind. "Can I light one?" Amama nodded, her voice a whisper of revolution. "Not just one. Light many. Let them speak." The next morning, while the village still slept beneath the hush of dawn, Anjali crept to the courtyard, her bare feet brushing against the cool earth. She wore her yellow pavadai, the one she had folded away in silence, and carried a pouch of Rangoli powders, turmeric for courage, indigo for truth, vermilion for transformation. Her cramps still throbbed, but her hands were steady, guided not by ritual but by resolve. She knelt in the center of the courtyard, where the sun would soon cast its first light, and began to draw. Her fingers moved with quiet precision, tracing the outline of a girl, arms raised, eyes open, surrounded by spiraling red threads that connected lamps, flowers, and words etched in Tamil, Thunbamala. Thunivu. Not shame. Strength. By sunrise, the courtyard shimmered with color and conviction. Women gathered, some with hesitation, others with tears. One by one, girls stepped forward, adding their own symbols, their own stories, their own lamps. The red thread grew longer, weaving through the village like a silent revolution. That evening, as the final prayers of Dasara echoed through the air and Ravana's effigy collapsed in flames, the brightest fire was not the one that consumed the demon king, but the one that burned in Anjali's courtyard, surrounded by girls who had once been told to hide, now standing in the open, their voices rising like incense. And in that light, no one looked away. The Ninth Day Flame. Set in a red soil village where rivalry becomes revelation, and Dasara becomes a mirror of courage. In the village of Viravanam, where the red earth clung to bare feet like memory and the tamarind trees whispered old secrets to the wind, the festival of Dasara arrived not just as a celebration but as a reckoning, a time when the goddess Durga, in her 9 radiant forms, was honored with music, lamps, and the slow unfurling of Rangoli across courtyards like prayers drawn in color. It was a season when girls were dressed as deities, when clay dolls were arranged in step displays called kolu, and when stories of Mahishasura's defeat echoed through temple loudspeakers, reminding everyone that darkness, no matter how powerful, could be undone by a woman's will. Among the girls of Viravanam, 2 names stood out like twin flames: Revthi, whose rangolis were so intricate they seemed to breathe, and Malika, whose voice could summon silence in a crowd and whose family's wealth gave her a higher status than other caste members. They had once been friends, sharing turmeric secrets and kolam chalk, but something had shifted the previous year when Malika's Rangoli was chosen for the temple entrance, and Revthi's was quietly brushed aside, her design deemed too bold for her caste and for sacred ground. This year, the competition was fiercer. The temple committee had announced that the winning Rangoli would not only adorn the goddess's feet on the 9th day of Dasara, but would also be featured in drawings sent to schools across the district, celebrating girlhood and tradition. Revthi, whose mother stitched saris in silence and whose father had left for the city long ago, saw this as more than a contest. It was a chance to be seen, to be heard, to draw something that could not be erased. But as the days passed and the village prepared its kolu steps and turmeric lamps, whispers began to spread. Malika had already submitted her design, a rainbow of colors going up into flames. Revthi, who had planned an elegant lotus rangoli, was told by an elder that such imagery was too aggressive. For a low caste, that Dasara was about devotion, not defiance. She returned home that evening, her fingers stained with rejected colors, her heart heavy with the weight of invisibility. Her grandmother, Hadi, who had once drawn columns so large they covered the entire temple floor, sat beside her and listened without interruption, her eyes reflecting the flicker of the lamp she had just lit. "Do you know why we celebrate Dussehra?" Patti asked, her voice like the rustle of silk. "To honor Durga," Revti replied, her voice brittle. "Yes," Patti said, "but not just the goddess in the temple, the goddess in you, the one who fights not with weapons but with truth, the one who dances even when told to sit still." Revti looked up, her breath catching. "But they won't choose me." Patti smiled. "Then don't wait to be chosen. Let your Rangoli speak where no one expects it." That night, while the village slept and the temple lights dimmed, Revti walked to the old well near the banyan tree, where the soil was redder than anywhere else, and where the women once gathered to sing during the 9th night of Navaratri. She carried her powders, turmeric, vermilion, indigo, and crushed petals, and began to draw, not with permission but with purpose. She drew beautiful purple lotus flower connected by a fine white net. Around it, she etched words in Tamil, Non Oru Pen, Non Oru Sakti. I am a girl. I am a force. By sunrise, the Rangoli shimmered like a secret revealed. Women gathered. Some frowned. Some wept. Malika arrived, her eyes wide, her voice quiet. She stepped forward, not with anger but with awe, and placed a lamp at the center of the design. "I didn't know you could draw like this," she said. "Your design is so bold. It represents all of us girls in this village. You have truly asserted our right to beauty, visibility, and spiritual agency." Revti looked at her, the rivalry melting like ghee in flame. "We always could. We were just told not to." The temple priest came last. He stood in silence, then turned to the committee and said, "Let this be the one. Let the goddess walk on a soft net aligned with beautiful purple lotus flowers." That evening, as the 9th day of Dussehra unfolded and the village lit its lamps in honor of Durga's victory, the video played in the temple courtyard, Revti's Rangoli glowing on the screen, her colors dancing with conviction, her message reaching girls who had never drawn outside the lines. And in that light, no one looked away.